everyone, and welcome to my presentation. I'm Dr. Tisha Shipley, and I am a part of the early childhood team here at UAGC. My presentation today will be over the power of predictability, routines, transitions, and procedures for your ECE classroom community. And I'm super excited that you are here to learn some strategies and to kind of just get some new ideas on things to try in your classroom. Okay, so you've probably heard this before. A classroom community runs like a well-oiled machine. Or should I say it should run like a well-oiled machine? And that's how I wanted my classroom to run. So well that it would run without me there. So when you're building a classroom community, it starts as soon as you get your class list. I'm going to go into a little depth here because I truly believe that that classroom community is what makes or breaks your classroom for the year. You can't have all of the necessary things we're going to talk about, like procedures, transitions, and routines, without that classroom community. So first, creating that classroom community before the first day. I sent home a postcard in the mail. I had a phone call with the families, and if you're allowed, you could even go do a home visit. Both of the things that I did happened before back to school night. You have that one first impression. You have to get it right. So you have to create that community before school even starts. And on the slide, you will see that I do have a little postcard that I sent in the mail. So one of my number one priorities was building relationships inside the classroom with my students, but also with the families I worked with every day. That relationship that you build with the families is one of the most important things you can do and builds that homeschool bridge connection and trust, right? So I have had many presentations and articles on how to build that homeschool bridge, and I will share those at the end because it is a presentation all in its own, but I wanted to make sure to mention the relationship in that classroom community. In my classroom community, everyone has a job. Those jobs can be the same all year or they can change over time. I changed my students' jobs here and there, but there is a job for everyone. If you're teaching a little bit older students, have them apply for the job, have them interview for the job. I found that my students' interests were really what they wanted to do in the classroom. So just a few jobs that I had were like the morning greeter. We had a botanist, which means they watered the plants. We had a librarian, a lightsaver that made sure they had the lights on and off, the pencil police, and even an on-call manager, someone that was there to help anybody that might need it or to take over for someone who might be gone that day. When each person has a job, they take pride in the community and they understand that it takes everyone to make the community what it is. The environment should be full of engagement where children can be themselves. They can work on things that they're interested in. They can finish projects that are important to them. If children are engaged in the community in a variety of projects, this will help minimize the discipline problems that can arise sometimes because we know that happens because those children are engaged in the things that they love, that they're interested in. Next is decision making. In the classroom, children can help you make decisions. They can help you set expectations for the classroom, such as how many children should be in a center, what will they have for a daily snack. There's so many things that they can help you make decisions on that gives them power. And when children have power over their choices and decisions, they're likely to follow whatever the community decides, and then they learn to make positive choices. Next is cheering each other on. Everyone in our communities deserves to be themselves, to be included, and to feel at home. The number one expectation in my classroom community is that we cheer each other on. We all bring different abilities to the classroom community to make it special. Respect, mutual respect. There may be a time in the community when something goes wrong, something fails, something happens. This is the time that everyone bands together, shares responsibility, encourages, solves the problem, and makes the decision on how to move forward. All of these things help us to create a predictable, safe, and structured environment. It is very essential in the early childhood classroom. Routines, procedures, and transitions. On this slide, you'll see a picture that states classroom management. And this is achieved through developmentally appropriate procedures, routines, and transitions. These consistent practices foster emotional security, independence, and self-regulation in our classroom community of learners. So let's start out by talking about procedures. A classroom procedure is a detailed step-by-step process that defines how a teacher and a student will accomplish any of the tasks or activities that we're doing in our classroom, okay? So procedures often require repeated teaching and reinforcement. If it's not done correctly, you must revisit it and practice it again. For example, lining up at the door. If it's not done correctly, you practice it until it is the way you want it. Some other ones, lining up at the classroom door, walking down the hallway, entering and exiting the classroom, waiting your turn to use the restroom, leaving the lunchroom. These are just a few examples that must be ingrained from the first day of school and reviewed until they become routine in the classroom. So if any of these procedures are missed, remember, we are trying to perform them correctly. It's essential to go back and teach them again. A lot of times we see this after fall break or Christmas break or a long weekend. We have to revisit that procedure. Okay, so a little story. My students would line up in the classroom. They had to have their hands behind their backs, face forward, and we would walk down the right side of the hallway. This was the procedure for our school. If the students did not walk with their hands behind their backs facing forward, we all went back to the classroom, tried again. You do this over and over until it's perfect. And that's just one example. That is how you teach it. You have to do it over and over again. So next, let's go to routines. It's defined as a set of established procedures and behaviors, and they're in a predictable sequence of events. We all have a routine in our daily life, right? And students learn and know the routine of the classroom well. If you've ever been a substitute, the students can tell as a substitute, what comes next in the day. So daily routines are especially crucial for young children as they provide a sense of security, nurture, and confidence in themselves and their learning. A routine dictates how your classroom operates. For instance, a group might start each morning with a morning meeting, then it's followed by the carpet time, then it's followed by centers, then it's followed by restroom break, then it's followed by lunch, then recess, and so on. And that routine resembles the daily schedule and should be closely followed. The routine is what and when you do it, and where the procedure is how you do it. So the procedure is how you do it, the routine is when you do it. So a few examples of routines are entering the classroom, hanging up your backpack, sitting at your table in groups, morning meeting, carpet time, center time, small group, recess, however you want that to go. The procedure would be how you enter the classroom, how you sit down, how you get up from your table. And all of these things become second nature. All right, let's go on to transitions. These involve moving from one activity or a lesson to another. And when you teach your procedures and routines well, transitions happen smoothly. You can use various methods for transitions. You can do bells, you can do musical instruments, you can play the same song each time, you can clap, or even use a specific word. So my students knew when it was time to begin cleaning up their centers because I played the same song every day. They also understood that after the goodbye song, during group time, we would transition to the carpet or to their assigned center. I may start this transition by stating, anyone that has a red shirt on, stand up quietly, and then I want you to move as slowly as you can or like a turtle to your table. So for example, if my students are at their centers and they hear a bell, they know it's time to begin cleaning up. So you can use bells, musical instruments, playing the same song, clapping. If I did this, my students knew exactly to stop and look right at me because I was getting ready to give them some direction. I could also use a bell or a phrase like 1, 2, 3, look at me. That would help them to be able to know a transition was coming. Okay, so important things to consider when teaching transitions. Transitions help children feel successful because as you teach transitions, you are building a trusting relationship with each student. When you use transitions, children know and understand what is expected of them and when they are to move or complete a task. A transition should be the same every day and consistently used. A warning may be given 5 minutes before a transition to allow children time to finish what they're doing. Because some children may have trouble just like stopping an activity and needing to clean up. They may need to finish that for themselves. All right, some things to think about as we wrap up. At the beginning of the year, it's vital to build your classroom community. If you haven't done that yet in the year, go ahead and start building that community. Teach your procedures, teach your routines, teach your transitions from day one. You will practice these over and over and over again until your room runs like a well oiled machine. Consistent routines and procedures build emotional security and promote independence. Children thrive when they know what to expect. Predictable structures help reduce anxiety and support self regulation and confidence. Developmentally appropriate transitions and procedures maximize learning time. Thoughtful transitions, procedures, and classroom systems minimize disruptions and keep children engaged throughout the day. Intentional routines support equity, inclusion, and classroom community. And when routines are responsive to children's developmental and cultural needs, they create respectful, inclusive environments where all children can succeed. So if you're having trouble including these into your daily practice, it takes time, it takes patience, and it takes commitment to ensuring that your students know and understand the community that they're in. So these are some of the articles that I've written on building classroom communities, building relationships with families, procedures, routines, and transitions. I am happy to discuss any ideas, comments, or concerns that you may have. You can reach out to me anytime at letitia.shipley@uagc.edu, and we can go ahead and just talk about how to implement these wonderful things into your classroom. If you have any questions, let me know.